Yes, thanks, Sophia, and warm welcome to everyone. So today, let's talk open innovation. 2 weeks ago, we had a great webinar together with our client from Sheffield, from an Italian company working with the Ministry of Defense there, who gave us some really nice insights on how also in industries that are more closed up, open innovation can happen. Today, we will more focus about how that could look like in ITONICS, also give you some insights into what you can do with our product, give you some product demos, and by that, show you a little bit how it's done or what we see as key challenges and how ITONICS can help solve them. So maybe to start, open innovation, I mean, the term is basically almost around for 20 years, but what we experience together with our clients and looking into the market for the past few years is that still the interest in that is continuously growing. To prove that, I've put you some numbers together here. So they are from the KPMG benchmarking reports, and they basically asked the response here, which are innovation experts, innovation directors from companies across the globe. So what are the practices I do in their organization? And you see, so those are the top 8 answers that were given from around 60 items that could be selected, and we see kind of 4 of them. So those are the bars with the dark blue are directly related to open innovation or covering open innovation practices. One could even say that hackathons and also innovation labs or centers also fall into that category, but when framing it conservatively, still at least half of the items here are revolving around incorporating external ideas or the knowledge from external experts into your own innovation funnel. So basically, the quote that's here on the other side of the page from Robert Long, who is Chief R&D Officer at a consumer goods company, that all big companies are trying to figure out how to access external innovation more effectively, holds true. And I would also say it's not just big companies anymore. So, but what we also see, and what's the second part of this quote is basically, most companies struggle or they are trying, but oftentimes we see that also with our client base. It's really difficult oftentimes to use those ideas and to really turn them into value for your company. And also this challenge is oftentimes even made more or exacerbated because open innovation can come in many forms, and there's a lot of methodologies when talking about open innovation. Many different things can be meant. I've put a framework here on the page that kind of distinguishes different methods between degree of openness. So is it within your companies? So the things on the right-hand side or the left-hand side will not so much cover in the webinar today, but then is it outside in, so that you get ideas in from the outside, or inside out, where you also really actively co-create with your partners in open innovation, and also depending on the different stages. And a lot of these methodologies also involve different stakeholders, so different types of experts and audiences, different types of crowds that you're working with. A lot of our clients also do open innovation quite differently in our system. But what we saw from them is that, and what we will focus today in this webinar is some key common challenges that we see. So it's method agnostic. So what we show today can be applied to a lot of those methodologies, depending on what you do or what your open innovation program in your company looks like. And we will focus on the challenges that are quite common across those that we see that are common across or independent from the method that you choose here. So, and as we do an interactive webinar, we give you already in this first little interactive session to see kind of what are critical roadblocks and challenges that you encounter. We also give you here a little bit the possibility to directly a little bit experience our tool and experiment a little bit with our tool. Because what we like to do in our webinars is always have some quick questions, some interactions with the participants, and also asking them about the most critical challenges that they encounter. And here in this case, especially with open innovation. And we would like you to ask you if you want to submit what you see here via ITONICS Open Innovation. And that's where I first time hand over to Johannes, because he can give you a little bit of an intro on how that's done. So Johannes, up to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Fabian. Hello, everybody from my side as well. I'm posting something for you in our webinar chat. Hopefully everybody gets that. It is a link to the respective ITONICS Open Innovation Gateway that we prepared for today. So please feel free to open that up and sharing that also for you here on what you should access here. So here you can see our forms for today's webinar. So please now follow the link if you haven't done it yet and submit your input. What we will do is, of course, talking about what are the most critical roadblocks and challenges that you encountered when running open innovation initiatives within your company. We will take a further look into that a little bit later in our presentation. Just for now, we want to present that to you, that here you can create your submission and make that as easy as possible, that you just fill in a title and a short abstract about the roadblock or about the problem or the challenge that you're facing there. So with that, we can make sure that we can, as a company, for example, also interact with outside people and get their input in there into our central place of excellence or center of excellence for all innovation activities. We will give you around 1 to 2 minutes to submit your part. Just one comment for the contacts. Of course, we want to also receive the context from a possible startup submitting their technology, from our supplier or from any other kind submitting their input for us. So if you're filling out your email, you can use any name. We won't show that in the further presentation. You will be completely anonymous. So please do that. And I will do the same during your 1 to 2 minutes there. So in my case, I will do that we do not have a process in place for open innovation. Maybe Fabian, have you seen that already in some kind of discussions that you had, that there's no framework, that there's no kind of like not real process aligned to that?
I mean, especially when companies starting with that, that's usually one of the first cases. And that also relates back to what I've talked a little bit about in the beginning with a lot of methods. So it's like, where's the starting point for that? Where do we start from? Where can we align people towards? Where we can get quick wins? Which is definitely a problem that's quite prevalent, I would say. So also, like Johannes said, for the contact details, you can also insert dummy stuff here. So that does not matter here. It's just because we're using our tool here, which is then also used by corporate innovators when they want to interact with their with the submitters of their initiatives. So that's in here for the context today. Just can just type in any name that you want here. Okay. Good. Then, Johannes, I would say I take over the screen again, and then let's see what comes in here. Okay. So back to the presentation then. So, I mean, let's see what you submit here. We see oftentimes kind of two categories of challenges that people report. So like on the one hand, is oftentimes about cultural challenges within the organization. So stuff like not invented here syndrome, for instance, people are resisting to external innovations in general. On the other hand, it's procedural questions. And what we want to do today is like more challenge, more focus on those, because from what we experience working with over 500 clients, it's oftentimes that those procedural challenges are like the necessary conditions for open innovation to work. They're not fully sufficient, but like when you get them wrong, then a lot of things do not work correctly. So, and from that perspective, who has, if some of you have watched webinars from us before, they know that I always put some slides with meme in. So this is the one for this webinar here. we see kind of three larger areas of problems that people usually encounter when working with open innovation. So the first thing is like centers around expert quality, submitter quality, and also idea quality. So kind of like crowd selection. So I put it in a meme here from called Fraternities Use Collective Intelligence. So they have a beer cooler in the pool. And how do they get the electricity for that? Well, let's just put some flip-flops and make them float in the water and put the cable on that, and the electricity is out. So like, doubtable quality of idea. But that's oftentimes what comes out if you just use collective intelligence. So there's more to it than just asking people, but there's also a topic of like how to attract the right crowd here. Then second, a topic of process efficiency, because like when collecting a lot of ideas, that usually has a long red tail of additional work after it. So like people need to look into it, people need to process it. You need to screen through those ideas. You need to think about what are follow-up actions on that, and that can be quite time. So like a lot of our clients are struggling with process efficiencies there. And then of course informed decisions. So like how to evaluate the stuff that you get in right. So how to make sure that you have a good balance between what helps your business right now, but with what has also a potential for the future, and to arrive at informed decisions. So that's usually also a large, quite large challenge here. And from those challenges, what we see is like there's usually three components that companies who excel at open innovation, or the few companies that excel at open innovation, that they do right. So on the one hand, they are really good at crowd and submission management, which involves attracting crowds, which involves lowering the barriers for people to participate, and by that having the right conditions in place for getting high quality inputs here. On the other hand, alignment decision making, which is about like having aligning what you do here, also like defining the right challenges, but like also aligning people within your organizations to perceive what's really valuable for you, and then also decide on which external innovations that come into you, on which to follow up. And then finally, integration and implementation, because one thing that we oftentimes see is like getting from initiating product then to really integrating an excellent innovation into your product portfolio and really commercializing it. That's a quite long way. And it's oftentimes also the case that not just necessarily the ideas that are, or the innovations submitted to you that are in the first moment seem the most valuable and most flashy, that those are the ones that produce the most revenue in the end. But like that from a lot of ideas that come in and that maybe not that novel in the first place, people can learn across your organization. And also like it's not just about selecting the winners, but also make the most out of all ideas that come into your funnel here via open innovation. And that's quite tedious work, but there is technology support on how to do that. And one way, and what we do today, is basically where software, and especially a digital open innovation platform, like in the form of the ITONICS Innovation OS, can help here. So ITONICS Innovation OS is a tool that's completely modular and completely configurable to your needs, to your business processes, and also integratable into your software landscape. Johannes will also show a little bit of that later. Which provides you with tools to excel at different stages of the innovation process. So like the picture here shows basically that, or shows basically that modularity. So we have tools that can help companies with foresight, with ideation, and also with the execution, so the portfolio and project management all together. And by that, if they want also kind of to create that whole funnel and have across the whole funnel all the dots connected that go into their innovation activities. And there, a lot of the tools that are in there also help you with doing open innovation, and there are also dedicated open innovation tools within that whole framework. And that's what we would like to show you today. And we will have a demo that's structured in 3 parts. So like, as I said, with the components that go into great open innovation process management. So first one, crowd and submissions management, which basically involves that, or where we see it's really beneficial for companies, on the one hand, to have a central platform to share their campaigns and also kind of to brand themselves. So when you want to attract external actors to collaborate with you, to provide their ideas, to insert into your funnel their innovative ideas, their solutions, their innovations that they create, then it's really about having a central place for attracting those people. And we see also, Johannes will also show that quickly, that branding such a platform and having a branding of like of your gateway into the external world, that this is really beneficial. Then, of course, there is the need for submission handling systems that are really efficient, time efficient. On the one hand, for the submitter themselves, because if they need to spend a lot of time to get in contact with you, that's usually a first barrier that hinders them from submitting anything, but also for you to handling ideas and solutions and to forward them to the people in the organization that you require. But also then to maintain a solid line of communication and be in contact with the submitters, provide real-time status updates and feedback. And how that looks in the platform, Johannes will show us now.
Perfect, thank you. And also thank you for all of the submissions that you provided. We will take a look later at that. Just giving you or taking up the point that Fabian was discussing. At ITONICS, we see various use cases where our customers and possible customers rely on external input for their innovation activities, such as, for example, the startup management, collaboration in supplier technology innovations, or idea crowdsourcing, as we've mentioned today. So in any way, open innovation can help us always to transform the way that we do business with an external expertise, driving new solutions and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. However, the open innovation can only really thrive if the people have the right information at the right time. That's why I want to pick up the point with a centralized platform where everything is connected. So creating that central platform for sharing these challenges and focus areas are basically essential. And what I want to show you here right now is how our platform can act as this centralized hub for, of course, internal persons as well as external innovators, partners, or other stakeholders coming in, working on identifying the next value, on adding value to our current portfolio. Okay. I'm sharing you pretty quickly my screen and coming to basically where we started at our open innovation campaign that we created for that webinar, which was the breaking barriers. We want to tackle open innovation challenges together. So that is basically the setup that we decided with a specific use case that we brought into here. Which is basically our pre-screening process, kind of like a review gate that we are bringing in here. And now we want to take a look at what you submitted for us today, like what your feedback or what your roadblocks are in your open innovation process. And therefore, Fabian, please jump in as well to discuss the different elements. So we see there were some elements pushed into our system. It's an overall of 8, which is, in my opinion, pretty good. And then we can take up those points, right, Fabian? Good. As a first submission, of course, maybe describing it a little bit, we tied it directly to that campaign that we were creating. So what you did is submitting the form and it is coming to our platform, such as, for example, that submission here, the change management that you were describing through the portal directly as a new element, as a new profile in our system here. So we can open one up and just like quickly discussing that. So we have a feedback which was common change management. So we're currently working on building an open innovation program in the company. The program aims to improve the day-to-day life of employees. So all in solutions are intended for internal use. Although we were very innovative when it comes to project delivery to clients, I was surprised by some resistance to change internally. Engagement is low when it comes to asking people to volunteer for testing new solutions. So Fabian, coming back to your presentation, that you see something, some kind of problems with change management or internal change management that can block innovation or open innovation efforts.
I mean, definitely. So like on the one hand, this is one of the kind of more broader cultural things. But like again, also for those change management topics, one of the best ways to persuade your people in the organizations to go further with that is that the operations that you do, that they run smoothly and seamlessly. So like there is a broader challenge with change management altogether, of course. But like the more you can reduce barriers for people to get into or like to benefit from open innovation, also with their own projects, the better it is. And I think Johannes, you will show us there later a little bit also like how to connect those submissions that we collect from innovation, how to connect them also to running innovation activities in your company and kind of to inform what people are already doing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Turning back to our overall campaign, because we're now, of course, running through a funnel where we funnel basically the idea through a pre-screening process, what means or what we have as best practice to kind of like pick up very much quickly pick up the information that was submitted from our external partners or from stakeholders, for example, to have a first go or no-go decision in that sense. Unfortunately, of course, regarding the time, we do not have time for looking into each of your submissions. We will provide you afterwards with the recording some of the insights that were submitted, some roadblocks that were submitted through our gate, and then, of course, showing you now on how we can pick that up and move that further down the line, right? So we now want to focus on what is happening now. I was talking a little bit about the pre-screening process already, but yeah, the innovation is, let's face it, so the innovation is often blocked by some kind of bureaucracy or lengthy process that nobody can oversee. So for this innovation, or for our open innovation, it's important to handling ideas and solutions as efficient as possible. We need a clear, streamlined process of what we want to do here. So what we can do here right now is turning a little bit to our tool, what we set up here. We are now in this pre-screening process and directly manage all of the submission that you also submitted. That's why we wanted to do that, because these are kind of like the real life examples. We can now start working with them. What do I mean by that? We want to, of course, include that first review gate to say, okay, this is a go, this is a no-go decision, taking your input as the live data that we are now processing. So good. What can I do now here in that campaign overview, for example, is in that pre-screening phase, you see we do have another phase, which is the selection. First of all, I can, for example, include some kind of evaluation criteria. So I can bulk assign, for example, some evaluators, such as my colleague Lucas, for example, such as Fabian, who is in that meeting as well, and myself, for example. Therefore, I'm aligning now the people responsible taking the topics up and looking into the topics that were brought up here with our submission gates. What now comes when I refresh that page, I have the possibility to bulk rate all of them by the different definition criteria that we have placed around that campaign, right? So here, for example, we have again that submission of change management, for example. Here I can give a really quick feedback to that. Please don't feel offended if that is your idea right now and I'm rating that bad. That is just for demoing purposes. but this is how I can come, or how I can look at each idea, looking or giving a rating here. For example, I'll do that for 2 now. Of course, we have the possibilities to run. We do not have the time to run through all of 8 of them. Good. Let me just close that down. And what I can do next is, of course, look into an overall metrics of all rated ideas. And I can see, okay, which one was the best rated, for example, which has the most impact for us after that first pre-screening to move further down the line into our innovation funnel, for example, into an idea funnel, or which startup fits to our specific topics there. Let's just take no process for open innovation. That was basically the one that I submitted, where I can now jump in and, for example, put that into the selection phase by coming back into the campaign management that I shared with you, and just like promote that idea to the next phase. And of course, it is important to also interact with the persons that have filled in the different topics, to interact with the startups again. So therefore, we are offering automatizations in communicating with them by sharing different information, or sharing different notifications to them automatically. So I can, for example, send now here confirmation that the starter was promoted to the startup funnel, for example, that the idea was going to the idea funnel. But of course, you can decide on how you are configuring that platform yourself, right? Changing phase, let me just take that out, that I'm not getting the specific mail for here right now for the demoing purposes. And what we can do now as a last step for that first particular point, we can convert that to our idea or activity funnel after our pre-screening. So, and with that, I will hand back over to Fabian for our second point.
Okay, perfect. Then let me share my screen again. So, several of the things that I have on the slide here, you already have shown now. But like, I think you have also some more deep dives on that. So we tease it a little bit here. So it's like what we see then for alignment decision making, and what becomes important there. So on the one hand, you need to have a transparent scoring system. So like, the best solution, or the gold standard, is that everyone is well aligned with how people, for instance, in innovation management team decide about ideas. But even if that's not possible all the time, not everyone is happy with what comes out here. It's still always really important to have a transparent scoring system, or to have clear criteria on how to evaluate stuff. But also to have an intelligent scoring system. That means also, depending on different phases, maybe you may have different criteria also for different purposes, for different initiatives for open innovation that you run. Depending on the objective, you can be quite flexible with what scoring system you want to have here. For instance, what Johannes have shown you, rating criteria are fully configurable here also, and really can be tailored to your needs here. Then an easy way to invite internal and external experts to evaluate your external innovations, by that to get collective intelligence, also quite important. And then finally, also to have easy ways to get an overview of the ideas that were submitted, to filter through them, to have a look into to have to visualize they based on the rating, but also based on other criteria. And by that, to get a quick overview of what you got into your platform here. So with that, back to you, Johannes, and back to the second demo part.
Sure, thank you. Coming back to where we stop before putting that or before Fabian took over again. So we were creating now. I did that kind of like in the in the meantime while Fabian was talking. So basically, we were turning that idea into a real idea in our funnel. Of course, as I said it already, you can directly put those submissions in your ideation funnel. So what we can do here now, as you said, we were running through quality gate 1 already, which is our blueprint. First thing I needed to do here was assigning a portfolio, and I did that just in the sake of time. Next step, of course, it is very important to kind of like decide which ideas are significant for us in terms of the business relevance and, for example, strategic ambition, as Fabian mentioned. Therefore, a scoring system, for example, can help us to ensure that all submitted ideas are evaluated based on clear criteria and transparent criteria, such as, for example, strategic goals or the alignment to strategic goals or the business relevance, for example. Therefore, we are focusing on what matters most and also including our experts for looking into that. Talking again a little bit about the stage gate process, I will wrap that up in the third demo part. But now here we created an action which is mandatory for our quality gate 2 of our funnel. We need to detail the idea more. That means we bring in more information about the idea. We're talking a little bit about the concept. Again, being said, this is configurable from our side and can be adapted towards your idea funnel that you want to bring in here. You see here now our expert ratings. We want to really bring in our expert, external and internal, for example, to look into how we are really evaluating that idea to make or to prepare the best decision for us to move forward with that. For example, we can evaluate kind of like a market size and IP potential. So IP is always a point that is coming with open innovation as well. A business relevance, as I've mentioned, what kind of talent and internal capabilities do we have with that? A strategic fit, for example, time to market readiness, technology readiness. Just coming through all of those rating criteria, we see a value of our expert ratings up here, which is now, or which equals 3 in that point, which is an aggregation of all rating criteria that we can also weight in our platform, right? Next to that, we can rate out of different contexts because, of course, sometimes it's important to kind of like compare different opinions or different perspectives of the experts that we are bringing into this evaluation phase. Right? So here you see, for example, I can rate out of a specific business unit, which would be, for example, an R&D. I can also rate out of a different IT or of different other contexts such as IT, but it could be also location, it could be also area of expertise and so on. And by saving that, of course, I can then get the overall overview and of all ideas that I'm having in the funnel here in an visualization, kind of like the idea metrics that we are looking into, right? So here I see my whole portfolio of ideas, which are rated by the rating criteria that I showed you. This is kind of like a strong communication feature that we're offering for the overall portfolio in terms of the business relevance that we are plotting on the y-axis and a strategic fit in the x-axis to see which of the ideas and which scoring is the best, where are, for example, the most opportunities that we see by our expert rating. Good. So far to step 2, we will go further in step 3, but Fabian, please take over.
Yes, let's do that. So, and then to step 3, which is integration and implementation. So, I mean, what we have shown right now, it's like, okay, you receive submissions, you evaluate submissions, you decide on submissions, but like there's still a long way from here to get really to value. So what we see that companies that excel at this do and what they are good at is, on the one hand, connect open innovation initiatives with existing innovation projects and internal stakeholders. So you usually need your internal promoters, your internal champions for ideas. And also, oftentimes, one quick win is not that out of a submission or a solution that's submitted to your company, a completely new project emerges, but like using that to inform something that already exists and using that to help the project team. And also there, digitized platforms can help a lot. Then, of course, what Johannes had a little bit shown you, have clear stage gate process with workflow that can ensure that innovations move swiftly through the funnel. And of course, all the things that need to go around that, like portfolio management, like real-time monitoring, reporting on the open innovation initiatives that you're doing, but also like having that on roadmaps, for instance, in order to spot where there could be frictions, where there could be bottlenecks, and by that have a good overview of the overall health of your open innovation initiatives. And that's something that Johannes will show you now. So I hand back over to you.
Perfect, thank you. Coming back to the overall initiatives and also seeing kind of like all of our initiatives that we do have in our funnel, I'd like to start with another visualization that we're offering, which is basically a board view of all initiatives that we currently have in our funnel that can be plotted here by the phase that we're currently in to, of course, identify bottlenecks, but also by different categories. Is that, for example, sustainability topic? Are we going into processes that we want to adapt? You see, our initiative is also stated currently in the quality gate 2. We see 40% of our idea portfolio is currently in quality gate 2. So that could be, for example, one bottleneck of us, of our process here. And of course, we're seeing here the alignment on the side with a potential savings or a savings potential that we brought into that, as well as a revenue potential of the ideas that we're currently planning. Of course, you cannot do all of them. Therefore, quality gate is probably the most important step to make sure that you focus on the right topics, right? Good. We can also, of course, set different filters because of course, you want to have the overall overview, but also maybe if you're just like working on your own portfolio, you just want to see, okay, what kind of idea portfolio am I working on? So I can filter that down, for example, to my personal self and see just the values or the ideas that I'm just working on, for example, such as, for example, the establishing structured open innovation management process with that. Also, coming back to wrap up a little bit the overall topics that I've mentioned around the stage gate process. Of course, I can now save what I did before, need just to fill in some values here right now, and waiting for that so we can include different actions during those phases and bring in different dependencies so that we can have a list of actions that needs to be done in one phase, and then looking further and jumping further into or in the phase or in the platform itself. Because I'm saving up to kind of like my evaluation, it takes a little bit of time. Just it was saved here right now. And now I can see I can move, for example, to a quality gate 3, jumping into the next phase because I filled all of the important parameters for that. Good. As a last step, of course, the integration is crucial, as well as reporting and the visibilities of real-time tracking or real-time tracking of transparent reporting. Therefore, we are able to bring up different reports of all of the information that we're having. For example, here you see in Power BI report about our ideation funnel that is coming in, about the number of ideas by category or different other conversion rates, like how many ideas do we actually funnel the whole way through and turn them into innovation projects, and so on, that you have all of the reportings as well in the same system as where you're actually working with them. Okay, so far from my side, Fabian.
Okay, thanks, Johannes. So, and that's basically the demo. I think the last point is also quite nice because it shows this was an integration of Power BI into our tool. Our tool is fully API connectable. So what a lot of our clients do is use this also to fuel into their SAP system, for instance, connect with Java, connect with Power BI a lot of times, but like also to integrate them with their overall enterprise architecture of software. And by that, also, again, stimulate that what comes in via open innovation gets used across the company. So that's very basically at the end of our presentation today. I have put you 2 additional slides here. This is a quick overview of the open innovation software solutions that we have here, and also some advantages for ITONICS. If you have additional questions, or if you want to talk about any of those topics with us, you can either contact us via our webpage or here directly from this presentation with the QR code, where you can book a call with us and discuss kind of what are sticking points for you, how maybe ITONICS can help, and also maybe get a more specific demo for what you could do with the platform. So that's basically it. So it's for me to say thank you to you, Johannes. So I think you thought you give a great insight into what ITONICS can do. I would like to thank all of you for your participation. And again, if afterwards there are any questions, don't hesitate to contact us and keep innovating.